All right, welcome again, everyone, to August Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connection Network meeting. Thanks, everyone, for being here. We'll get started with a quick round of introductions in the chat. So if you want to go ahead and throw in your name, and then icebreaker question for today, what is something fun or interesting about where you grew up? And of course, put in where you grew up in the chat too. So I'll go ahead and start. My name is Suzanne Morley, for those of you that don't know me, and I grew up in Fort Washington, Wisconsin. I think something interesting, I guess, is that, and I might butcher the name, but Screech. If you guys know Screech, he was in a TV show at one point. He lived in Fort Washington for the longest time before I think he passed away now, but that was always kind of a fun fact. We'll wait for some responses to come in. Lisa grew up in Franklin, Minnesota, La Crescent, Minnesota, the apple capital of Minnesota. Sammy Stevens Point, grandma says her dad was the first Polish settler in the town, but the Historical Society says differently. I love that. Kristen grew up in New Jersey, digging clams, catching crabs, and fishing. Oh, these are coming in fast now. Lake Beulah, East Troy used to find arrowheads on the lake. Katie and Racine, the garbage disposal was invented here. Awesome. I wish I had one of those. I don't. Anna grew up in Baraboo, Devil's Lake recommended. Trisha grew up in Southern California. Went to the movies with Ethan Randall. I'm not going to lie, I don't know who that is. Tim grew up in Green Bay. Go Packers. Angie in Janesville, home of the White Buffalo, I think that said. Carmen, Whitefish Bay, Craig Council grew up there. Yep, now boo that he's a Cubs manager. Okay, these are coming in fast and furious. I'll let you guys continue to introduce yourselves in the chat. Feel free to check out all of the fun things that are happening in there as I go through the agenda. We are going to go right into our ARPA grantee speed dating. So I'm going to pass it over to Helen Sampson in a minute. We'll have time for a Q&A, go into some coalition updates, and then just a reminder, if you didn't see, this meeting is extended to 3:30. So if you're able to join us, we'll have some time to do some regional connection breakout rooms from 3 to 3:30. So stick around for that, and then we'll wrap up. So with that, Helen, I will let you take it away.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. I am so happy to be able to share some of the magnificent work that went on through the Social Isolation and Loneliness and Livable Communities grants that were funded through ARPA monies. These grants started in June 1st of 2020. Okay, I'm going to confuse myself. Through March 31st of 2025. And I'm just going to tell you one of the takeaways is that you can get a lot done in a little bit of time with a little bit of money. So you don't need to hear anything more from me, but I'm really excited to introduce a number of folks who are going to share a little bit of their ARPA social connection journey. And I think we're just going to go in order here. So we're going to start with Lisa Bittman from the Waukesha County Aging and Disability Resource Center. And you will note there is a timer on your screen. We are not kidding about speed dating, and we will cut you off to make sure everybody gets time. Okay? Lisa, set the stage, model what it means to be a speed dater. Are you there?
Yeah, number one, unmute yourself. Yes. Okay. Suzanne, I think I have some slides you can throw up whenever you want to. I will speed talk. So we, in order to be successful in such a short time frame, we use some of our funding to hire a consultant who could focus on the development work of the coalition. We held our first meeting on November 15th and 24, and we had 30 people in attendance. We met monthly through April. And grew our membership up to 36 people, representing 25 different community organizations. That included all of our MCOs, our ICAs, the YMCA, some private businesses, our public health, all of our healthcare systems, private citizens, Journey 21, some of our agencies that focus on adults with disabilities. So we had a broad spectrum. It was really inspiring because many of the faces at the table were not the same faces who are always at the table, right? So many of you know what I'm talking about. We always get some repeat people. So this was really exciting. In the dedication, month after month, we met monthly, we were working hard, they were working meetings, and we had anywhere from 20 to 30 people at every meeting. It wasn't like the dedication fell off or anything like that. We spent that first 6 months laying the groundwork, creating the frame of a coalition, creating project charters, creating mission statements, creating sustainability plans. So we spent that time that way. And then April to now, the coalition continues. We have broken into some strategic action plans, which I'll show you some more about in a second. Next slide. So here is our vision statement. The Social Connectedness Coalition of Waukesha County envisions a thriving community that works collaboratively to ensure older adults and adults with disabilities are socially connected and empowered to lead fulfilling lives. And we came up with a tagline. And our vision is really that at some point, the coalition will not exist because it will just become the fabric of our community. We're not there yet, but that is certainly what we are working towards. So we use the funding, like I said, to engage a coalition builder, a facilitator, and that was invaluable. The work she was able to do to plan the meetings, to keep the action steps moving forward. It takes a lot of time to plan all that and execute all that. And so without that, we would not have been where we are. You can go to the next slide. We spent a big portion of our time looking at what our strategic priorities were going to be. And we came up with these 6 that in order to really make a difference, this is where we thought. And out of the 6, we focused in on 3 to start with, right? Looking at our capacity, we all work full-time jobs, and where can we all contribute? So these 3 strategic priorities, we call them, we've broken into action teams, and the action teams work 90 days at a time. They do 90-day action plans to keep that committee's work moving forward. We still have not done an event, right? We are still in the planning and the strategic development because we want it to be successful. We want to, and sustainable, right? That number one thing, the sustainability. An event can be very successful, but we are looking at coalition sustainability and weaving this into the fabric of the community. So next slide. Our action teams built some very bold statements so that they know what they are working towards. We don't need to read them. You can certainly share these if you'd like. And then, like I said, we do 90-day action plans. So I'm looking at the clock. Next slide. What are we most proud of in terms of our accomplishment? Really the sustained engagement. We think we're successful because this matters to everybody at a personal level, at a professional level, at a community level. So we are really working through that, and that has been the depth and understanding. This is ripples just within our coalition. This is things people in our coalition have shared since being involved on the coalition, right? They really understood the information of being lonely when they were just because they had a surgery, right? Just a short-term loneliness. So it's great. And so it's not only built the coalition workup, but it's also then created partnerships and collaborations outside of this, right? Now we have a face at the healthcare agency, and now we have a face at the Menominee Falls Fire Department that we can reach out for other things. And we're collaborating in different ways, not just around social connection. I saw a comment quickly that we love the logo. Yes, we developed our own logo. And you'll see down here in the right-hand corner, this little guy. He is the logo for our health departments, our public health department's CHIP plan. So we aligned very closely with the CHIP that happens to be going on around social connection and social improvement. So it's been a win-win. We've been able to build off of each other's work. 2 seconds.
You rock, Lisa. Wow, that was such great modeling. And I just have to say 2 things. One is for those of you who aren't aware of the intricacies of the ARPA grants, every application had to have some kind of coalition attached to it, because that we think is the gift that keeps on giving. And I love how much the members of the Waukesha Coalition are impacted themselves. And that really comes to, we bring our whole selves to this work. And you cannot do social connection in isolation. So thank you, Lisa. You did fabulously.
You're welcome.
Next up is Michelle Erdman, who is filling in for Julie Philippek. Michelle comes from the Aging and Disability Resource Center of Brown County, and they were a fantastic partner with NeighborWorks Green Bay, which is the actual recipient of the ARPA grant. So, Michelle?
Take it away. All right. Hi, everybody. Yes, I am pinch hitting, so I will do my best here, but we were very pleased to be one of the 8 partners involved with this coalition. This coalition was in part of a rural area of Brown County, Denmark. And so we had very strategic goals specific to that rural community. Some of the players in the mix were Options for Independent Living, Curative Connections, the Brown County Library, One Denmark, the Activity Community Center. So there was quite a few of us at the table. We were trying to engage the community in having more deep relationships, having fun at doing that, and connecting people across a large age spectrum. So we all got together first few months, same kind of thing. We met with setting some of our initiatives initially, and then we kicked off late fall with a number of activities. So some of the activities that we did with this group were, we wanted to bring community people together in a large forum to identify their gifts. So we did a number of gift discovery events. The first event that we did, we had 218 people participate. 153 of them were older adults or those with disabilities. So this particular goal was to identify skills that people had that they would be willing to share with others. And then other community members who came to the event signed up and asked for skills they were seeking. So we were pairing people with skills with those looking for those skills. And that was a beautiful intergenerational experience as well to see that unfold. So that was really great. Then we created learning luncheons. That was another facet of this initiative. The first luncheon we had was caregiving luncheon, where we brought in a number of organizations to talk about what did we have in our area for caregivers to support them. I know Suzanne came to that one too and presented what is it about isolation and loneliness? Why should we care about it? What could we do about it, kind of thing. So that was really great. The second Learning Together luncheon we did was on Medicare, wills, trusts, those kinds of things. So helping educate older adults with that too. So first one was 81 people. And then the second event we had was 124 people. We actually helped the community start their own caregiver support group. So we provided a lot of resources from the ADRC on what are the components of a good support group, that kind of thing. What do you need to bring to the table to help people sustain that on their own? And they continue to move forward with that. We also had technology learning taught by young people in the high schools to older adults in the community, how to use their phones, how to use their tablets, how to protect themselves from different scams, things like that. We also launched a time slips program where we paired a young artist in the community with isolated elders. And the artwork that was created by this young artist was then distributed to those elders in the community and premiered at a citywide art show. So that was awesome. And then we created Denmark Teaching Denmark events. That's alluding to when we matched up the gifts of people. We ended up have teaching events where people would come in with certain things like, let me show you how to do electrical work. Let me show you how to do basic woodworking. Let me show you how to crochet. Let me help you learn how to quilt, those kinds of things. So there was lots of art projects, generational that were really great. And we did a crochet club and yarn bombing across the community where we covered all of the streetlights with crocheted critters, which was really fun. So if you haven't gone out on Facebook and go ahead and look at Denmark Connects, you'll see some of those critters. That was really fun. So now this whole group has transitioned into an all-resident initiative in their community. So this group, Denmark Connects, has really taken it. People have stepped up. Like I said, what's continuing is the caregiver support group monthly. They have organized trips where they take folks all over the community to various things like museums and gardens and getting people together with like interest, traveling together. The crochet club yarn bombing is continuing. We also have the Denmark Teaching Denmark that continues, matching youth and adults learning skills. They have more technology classes coming up. And then a number of Denmark folks who are interested and really got involved in this and want to see this continue for their community, they are going to be attending the NeighborWorks America Community Leadership Institute in October in Minneapolis. So we're actually sending those community members to learn additional skills. And then finally, some of the ripple effects. I have a couple of quotes here that are really interesting. So Molly, who's one of the community members, yeah, these are examples of some of the things we did at the events. The tree is matching up those skills. So if we're going to grow the community in Denmark, what are the skills, and the leaves represent the skills. And then in the middle picture, you can see one of our individuals teaching a young person how to do macrame. That was one of those skill set matchups. So they're making macrame, and the young kids ended up doing things like plant holders and decorations to hang in their house. And then the third slide here is at one of the caregiver events. This is one of the advice panels that caregivers gave to one another. So we collected all of those, and then we sent all those advice tidbits out to the caregivers who were at the event because they wanted to see the different pieces. But finally, here are the last three things that are said for the ripple effect that still continues. So Molly, one of those people, Molly coaxed me out of my hermit habits and got me involved in teaching crochet and working with others to make our yarn bomb projects. Also met some really cool, crazy ladies who like fiber arts. Second one, this one I witnessed. There were two retired gentlemen social workers, and when they met at the first caregiver event, they sat at the table together and they didn't even know they lived in the same city. And they ended up connecting about their career of social working. It was really great. And then finally, there are lots of new people coming to the Denmark Activity Center for many of these events. And so it's now become a hub. And some of those things include brunch and bingo, lunch with a cop, all sorts of activities. So it's a great, great project, and the community's really grown. You're on mute, Helen.
I was on mute. Michelle, you did such a fabulous job. Thank you so much. And I just want to tell the future speakers, it really is okay to breathe. I know there's so much you want to share, and this is a challenge that we've set up for all of you. And I just want to say part of what I see as the successes are when the community owns at the end of an effort all that has created. And this, I saw the same thing with the Repair Cafe in Cable Wisconsin up in Bayfield, they now own that project. It is, the town is funding the insurance. So that is so cool and really an important part of the model. Okay, Sammy, please share with us what happens at the ODC.
Hi, thank you. I have to say, my favorite part of coming to these things is seeing all of the people that we've met along the way. Like when I saw Trisha's face, I just like lit up. I've been so excited to hear her project. So thank you for keeping this ongoing. That's my favorite part because we're siloed, but then we come together, we're all so closely working on the same thing and super fun to hear. So thanks for having me. Better Together is a friendship program that's been with ODC since 2022. Before that, it was started in the 80s by John and Patty O'Keefe, recognizing that need for friendship that's inclusive in this area. Part of this grant was to expand it to Wisconsin Rapids and Marshfield areas, because that's where ODC has a big presence. So the grant helped us spread awareness in these communities. Next slide, please. So these things are different than what other people have shared. I took a very different approach. What we've learned is that you have to get uncomfortable. My favorite thing that I did for Better Together over the last year was work with the Elks Lodge they did a karaoke night for the people in the program and then a food event because everybody loves food. But we, as Better Together, said it was our favorite event, but the Elks said it was their favorite event that they did all year. And they're doing it again for us this year because they had so much fun. And I say get uncomfortable because I had to go to bingo at the Elks Club. Like that's how I was meeting people who will support our program. I sat through bingo. And you know how like some people like are really scary with their bingo? Like I sat in somebody else's like regular spot. But because I did that, we have this beautiful community relationship that's giving back and forth and super worth it. Also making direct asks. So with awareness building, we want everybody to know about the program, but we also want people to be involved in the program. And so you have to ask a specific ask. And I'll never forget our PR director, Ann, asked me one day, she's like, how did you get the news station to come to one of your walks? And I said, I just asked. So getting uncomfortable and making a direct ask, like, would you consider this? And doing it in a way that's not putting on pressure. And it's just being like, what do you think? And it's slow work. I think that is what I've been talking with my director, Kate Norby, about constantly. Like, I just want this to like go and get going and move faster. And that's not always the way it is. And this has been really helpful to work with everybody in this grant process too, to know that it's not just me. It's not just one organization. It is the work that we do, but by being uncomfortable and making those direct asks, it does speed things up and it does make the everyday make a difference in the long run. I love that Michelle ended with some quotes too. These are what the friends in the program are saying. This is why we do the work they do. It's the friends and the friendships we're making. And we have so many, but these are a few of my favorites. We enjoy making new friends. Join Better Together, you'll be blessed tenfold. You leave each get together feeling good. Being around kind, loving, fun people will brighten your day. Giving time to someone doesn't cost anything. It will bring joy to you, as well as filling another person's life with joy. A truer friendship you will never find. You can never have too many friends. It's a great way to meet new people, help others, and have a positive impact on the community.
Dammy, you gave us a little extra time. How generous of you. And I love the way you approached it with what are some of the lessons along the way, because that's what we've talked about throughout our grant process is what are we learning? Because we know that is a piece that we get to keep forever and share with each other. So thank you so much. The other thing that strikes me about your project is really it speaks to the quality of connection as well, because these are not one-time meetings. these are relationships that are developing over time, and people really come to count on each other. So wonderful, wonderful program. Thank you. Okay, Trisha, let's
Hello.
talking about the men's shed.
Yes, and I didn't have as many slides to put together, but Barron and Russ counties, we are up in Northwest Wisconsin, both rural counties. I've actually worked at the ADRC for about 20 years now, and one of the things that I've noticed in my position, whether it was doing health promotion work or in my current role as dementia care specialist, and even looking at our senior nutrition program, is that a lot of our activities and programs that we were offering to the community were attended highly by females, older adult women, and very less by our older adult men. In fact, a lot of guys that would come out to, say, like a brain health workshop were out there because their wife kind of dragged them out. And so this was one of the issues that I kind of saw over the last 20 years, actually, and was excited for this grant to be able to bring this, was to really target social isolation among older adult men. And so we went really specific with our target group, and we modeled this program, the Barron County Men's Shed, after the US model, which is the US Men's Shed. So it's an already established kind of program where each men's shed looks very different. In fact, Juneau County was one of the first counties in our state that kind of modeled this. And so I was able to get a lot of feedback and everything from Juneau County. But each model kind of looks differently. Some are very hands-on, some are more informative, et cetera. So we worked with this model and actually worked in combination with our senior nutrition program to provide a once a month men's shed for 2 hours that was followed by a lunch. So looking at that sustainability piece, that after that grant period ended, we were able to still continue to provide a meal, because that's very important to just having community, is just eating over a meal. And so that has been sustained afterwards. We didn't charge in the beginning for that or transportation, but again, what we wanted to do was to bring this to the community, see what the response was. And then sustainability, we knew that if the guys were invested in it, that they were going to contribute back to it because they wanted to see it happening. So some of the challenges that we saw just in a rural area, our culture up here, it's very uncommon to ask for help, especially from older adult men. There's a lot of farmers around here, that rugged individualism, like you got to do it yourself. In my role currently as dementia care specialist, I realized that there were a lot of male caregivers who would express to me how isolated and lonely they were, especially not only during their caregiving journey, but then after, when their spouse passed away. So the exciting part of this grant was the community response. We had a lot of guys that came. So just during our project period, we had 238 people that attended. And again, some of those were duplicate. And I should back up. Sorry about that. We did have a coalition. I created a coalition that was designed specifically to help get this Barron County Men's Shed off the ground. What was great about that is we had 12 individuals and 7 organizations, but I had 4 guys, older adult guys from the community that stepped up. They were retired. All had expressed some different reason that they felt isolated or lonely and why they wanted to be a part of this coalition. And they have been the real champions of this work. They are so invested. And I think, Helen, you had mentioned, and I think a few of you before, it's so great when you see the community kind of take that on and really own it themselves instead of just a program that the ADRC is offering. So these 4 guys really run, help plan. The ADRC in my position definitely helps organize a lot of the topics, but they are, frontline. We met monthly. Now we're kind of meeting quarterly as we need to, but we did a lot more time in that beginning to get it up and running. And basically our answer to this was an outstanding yes. So again, the guys that were coming, we average about 55 to 60 guys in a rural area, which is phenomenal. So out of all of the programs that you see from the ADRC or targeted for older adults in our community, this is the highest one that's attended by older adult men. The other thing that we kind of noticed locally is we did have some other men's clubs, like a Rice Lake Men's Club or Golden K, but those clubs are struggling because they have such an end-all purpose to their clubs. Like you have to do something back. And some of these guys were going through caregiving situations or had their own mobility, other things that were happening that they felt like they couldn't keep going to the Golden K and doing that because they didn't have as much to offer. The great thing about the men's shed is it's all about what the guys want to see and what the guys want to do. So we gathered feedback on what they wanted to see. And we've planned every month based on what it is that they want. So that's been fantastic because it really is their own. And we have guys that who are completely blind. We have guys living with dementia that come. Guys of all abilities attend. And what's great about it is not that maybe nobody notices, but everybody is just so welcoming because it's their group of guys. And so it has been phenomenal just to see the interaction. We had a really neat story as I had a gentleman who lived alone with early dementia. He had received a DUI, and the upstairs department in the county was calling me because he wasn't able to fill out his paperwork correctly, and everything he was saying wasn't true to the AOTA people who were out to do his assessment. So the ADRC, we were working with him, and I got him to come out to the men's shed. We got him transportation set up, and he just thrived there. Absolutely loved it. In fact, his comment to me was like, it's so great to meet new people and also old guys that I haven't seen in a while without the neon sign. And I just thought that was just really neat. You know, again, the men's shed isn't the answer to reduce all social isolation, but it's definitely a tool in our community that brings the guys out, and there's not that pressure about your abilities, all of that. The other neat thing is that a lot of the
We are
guys will
at the end of your time, my
Oh,
love.
shoot. Sorry. Okay.
I know.
One last thing, just real quick. They talk about volunteer opportunities for other things that are needed in the community, and lots of the guys who have attended have stepped up to the plate to then help and give back to the community.
Yes. Big fan of the men's shed, big fan of the way Wisconsin is doing the men's shed, which is nothing about us without us. The participants are in the driver's seat, and I love that. And 55 to 60, holy smokes, that just tells you something right there. Thank you so much, Tricia. My next favorite person, oh my God, I love this job so much. I can't even tell you all how much fun I've had. Kristen Malukas from the Western Dairyland Economic Development Council is going to share with us her literal wow.
Thank you, Helen. So our project, which we did call the Whitehall Optimal Wellness, and it was a joint effort between Whitehall School District, the ADRC of Trempealeau County, Inclusa, and Western Dairyland to provide a space for fitness and socialization for the entire community in Whitehall, which is it's the county seat, but it's a community of about 1,600 people. So it's a very small community, which did not have any space to meet indoors for exercise within 25 miles of Whitehall. So our focus was on accomplishing the project, but there were a lot of relationships developed along the way. The grant allowed us to create a free indoor fitness center, which is open to the entire community for free. It was formerly a large shop classroom, but the classes were moved out to a new space. And so this space was open, and it was going to be used by the school district solely for the wrestling team. And the ADRC kind of started this connection between Western Dairyland and the school to say, you know, hey, we really need a space for our classes that because our classes are growing. We can't accommodate all the seniors that want to participate. And the school said, we've got this space, let's share it. So the entire space became both a space for the wrestling team and then the fitness center for the community. We estimate that more than 300 individuals that have signed in to use the facility. That does not include students who use the space. So it's more than 25% of the population of Whitehall that has used the space since we created it. We initially faced some skepticism about sharing the space. The wrestling team thought we were horning in on their own space, and the seniors were worried about feeling comfortable exercising around youth. Parents were concerned about student security, but through open communication and responding to everyone and listening to everyone, we were able to address everyone's concerns. The school district was fantastic. They strongly believe that the school buildings belong to the entire community. And so they've been incredible in their support housing this project and program. Their support will be key to sustaining this project, and Western Dairyland, through our retired and senior volunteer program, is committed to helping them continue to support it. We were able to use the vast majority of the funding to purchase the equipment, more equipment than we had even originally budgeted for, because all 4 organizations were able to support the project with additional time and expenses outside of the grant. So it really was a labor of love for all 4 groups. I think we certainly would have liked to have had 18 months to accomplish this instead of like 8 months. We would have spent a lot more time communicating with the community and building support before starting the project instead of doing it concurrently. But in the end, we had such beautiful support from the students, such that when the second session of the ADRC Strong Body class arrived, they were greeted by large poster boards created by the wrestling team and the cheerleading squad, welcoming all the seniors back. They had placed Post-it notes with encouraging notes all over the equipment and on the walls. And it was an extremely touching, just open arm approach between the school and the seniors from the ADRC. And the usage during the summer has been lower, although it has continued throughout the summer. And here, with school starting up and fall classes starting for the ADRC, we are encouraged to see what happens in our second full year.
Kristen, thank you so much for telling them the story that made me bawl when you first told me. Literally. I mean, the cute little Post-it notes from the wrestling cheerleaders, like, keep going, you've got this. I was just a wreck. It was so lovely. And you know, as we talk about connection, we have to think about that multi-generational piece, because it's so important to our whole community. And I just love, you know, the win-win of the physical exercise and the coming together in your community generationally, and people really getting to know each other. Love that. Love that. Okay. Next, oh my gosh, they're all my favorites. It's a good thing they only gave me an hour, or we'd be here for 4 days, I swear. Kaisa Carrington is going to share with us what's happening or happened or continues to happen, I'm not sure exactly, in Milwaukee. Are you there, Kaisa?
Yes, it was not wanting to let me turn on my speaker on my headset, so I just took it off.
Ah,
I'm in a quiet room anyways, so hi everyone. I wanted to speak a little bit about our project that we entitled RX Social Connect, which, as you can tell maybe by the title, we had worked closely with pharmacies on this project to put together one of our main deliverables, which was a training program to teach pharmacy staff to administer that 3-question UCLA 3-item loneliness scale that I know some of you are familiar with, to patients 60 plus who lived in Milwaukee County. The other partners that were in this project included the Pharmacy Society of Wisconsin, the Medical College of Wisconsin Pharmacy School, and Vital Voices for Mental Health. So based on the results of that screening tool, those who scored high risk for loneliness would receive a follow-up call from Vital Voices, who would then go through an in-depth social isolation and loneliness risk factor assessment to identify barriers to social opportunities. So some of those risk factors that we identified in the literature that would make somebody high risk for loneliness included lack of social support, lack of transportation, needing assistance with activities of daily living if they live alone, memory issues, grief and loss. Oh, Helen, you use my link. Oh, this is Kaisa.
You can keep going. That's not related. Yep, I'll interrupt.
Okay.
Yep, if it is.
Okay. Grief and loss, mental health issues, if you had poor rated physical health, if you were not comfortable with technology, all of those different risk factors were addressed in this assessment. So based on somebody's results from their risk factor, they were received like a personalized warm referral to community resources that would help address those barriers. So then next slide. Want to go over some of the main findings. If you look at the table on the left, let's see, yeah. If you look at the table on the left, by the conclusion of our project, we were able to administer 187 3-item loneliness scale screenings with 13 pharmacy sites in the project. And then the table on the right, I'll go through some of the things that surprised our team and some lessons learned while reviewing that table. So the average score out of 9 possible points was 3.8. So per the literature and the UCLA tool, if a patient scores over 5, they are flagged as lonely. So I was a little surprised that it seemed low to me. This seemed like a low average. And then additionally, 17% of the folks scored over 5. So 17% were classified as high risk for being lonely. So this surprised me a bit because in literature, in larger studies that have been done, the rate is more like between 30 and 40% of older adults they estimate deal with loneliness. So of course, we know this could be a response bias. If people are answering these questions in person or over the phone, they might feel uncomfortable. We know there's a strong stigma with social isolation. There was a couple people that were offended by the fact that they were being asked, but what we were told was majority, a lot of participants did appreciate the wellness check. They appreciated the pharmacy reaching out and asking these kinds of questions, that they weren't selling them anything, that they were just trying to check in on their social health. So I was also surprised to see the high percentage of participants who received consented to a referral. That was almost 90%, which was really promising. And Vital Voices was able to connect with about a third of these folks for the follow-up survey. So that was low and that was disappointing. I think we ran into some issues with faxes not getting sent timely enough. So folks would forget that somebody was supposed to be calling them. They didn't know who was calling. They probably thought it was spam and they didn't answer the phone because Vital Voices did try 3 different attempts. So we thought maybe if we're gonna do this again, we should give them a card and say, hey, this is who you should be expecting a call from, put it in your phone, and know that it'll be coming, that somebody will be reaching out to you, and just trying to be more timely about that too. So that was something that we learned with that. And then on the last slide, what we're most proud of is the overall increased awareness from this class of healthcare providers for the critical need for older adults to maintain social connection and how that influences their health. Another big part of our grant was the creation of a free continuing education module for people in the pharmacy network across the state of Wisconsin through the Pharmacy Society of Wisconsin. And that was entitled Caring for Our Elders, Making Connections to Limit Social Isolation and Loneliness. As of today, 54 Pharmacy Society of Wisconsin members have taken this course. And on the follow-up survey says that on a scale of 1 to 5, with poor being 1 and 5 being excellent, there was 4.6 was the average number of folks that said that they found the content useful. And over a third of respondents said that the module had a strong impact on their practice. And when asked what they would need to start a project, learners said they would need support from the community and better understanding and connection to local resources. So that's a tip for you all. Connect with your pharmacies. And I'm running out of time, so I won't quite get to finish up. But we do have some promise for sustaining this work and have increased our contract to Vital Voices because we were very, very impressed with the work that they did and recognizing the importance of it as well.
I'm feeling a little guilty about the speed dating. I'm just going to be honest, because first of all, we gave you 10 months to do the grant, and now we're only giving you 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes to share all the goodness about it. I just think that's, I'm sorry. And I'm so appreciative of the variety of approaches that have been taken over these 37 grants. And, you know, Milwaukee County took this very targeted, data-driven approach, which just is, we learned fascinating things from. And I think about the ripples in the pharmacy community. I mean, right? That's awesome. Thank you so much, Kaisa. Last but not least is me pinch hitting for Cynthia Germain. I'm just double checking she's not on, right? I don't see her on the list. So Cynthia is from an organization in Door County called Do Good Door County. And they were one of our grantees, and they did a very interesting thing. Well, first of all, they really used the grant to strengthen an existing coalition that they had in Door County. And I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I think it's Aging Well Door County or something along those lines. And they used a support that we found as we took this journey together through the UW Extension regional team. Their staff has been really supportive in a number of the coalitions, coming to meetings, offering feedback, helping the coalitions evolve. So Do Good Door County took advantage of that resource, and I think their coalition is thriving and doing great. Their project was called Vitality in Aging. And for those of you who are like me, you might remember S&H green stamps. That was a thing my mom loved to collect, right? It was a motivating bargain hunting type of resource. And they took that and they put it into this Vitality in Aging. So Suzanne, let's play the first video and then we can hear from the second one. I'm gonna defer to you, Suzanne, if we have enough time to play.
This is John with me. And John, could you just tell me a little bit about what the Vitality and Aging program has meant to you?
Yes, my name is John, and we're here in Door County, and we were introduced to this initially, and I totally enjoyed it. It provided resources for us for both eating and healthy habits. We became aware of what things are available for people of our age in the community, and activities that we can participate in. We've got to know many fine people at different areas, from bingo to the ARDC to just visiting with neighbors. And it really made us more aware of a healthy lifestyle, both socially and nutritionally. So we thoroughly enjoyed the program.
And that takes us to the end of our speed dating. We went a little over our time, so I'm going to just return the mic to Suzanne to facilitate our Q&A.
This
if
is
we
John
have time.
with me. And John, could you just
Okay, there. Oh, maybe. Okay, there we go. If anybody has any questions, feel free to throw those in the chat. And while you do that, I'm just gonna jump into the next slide just with a quick save the date for Social Connection Awareness Week. We are starting to plan for that with our awareness committee. If you are interested in being on the planning committee, reach out. But our theme this year is From Neighbors to Networks. Connection happens here, and the awareness week will be held November 9th through the 15th. So save the date for that.
I would also share that we are in the process of putting together a video with some of the projects that will tell a little bit more of the story. And I do have a summary report, which is in the approval pipeline in the Department of Health Services, which takes a little time, but as soon as those two things are ready to go, they will be posted on our DHS website, as well as, I hope, on the Social Connection website. So keep your eye out for them, because I know it was frustrating to have such little time to hear everybody's amazing story. And I'm not seeing any questions in chat. Are you, Suzanne?
No, I'm not seeing any questions either. So before people jump off, again, we have a great opportunity right now to do some regional connections. So connecting with, maybe some of the speakers from today or other people in your region. So I think we'll probably open this up, but be flexible depending on what conversations are happening, but for around 15 or 20 minutes or so. And in these breakout rooms, we really want you to talk about, what's going on in your area that you'd like to share, if there's any events or programs, activities, anything happening, how you can support each other. And then if you'd be interested in attending any regional, in-person or hybrid meetings to further connect and maybe what that would look like. So we'll have one of our coalition members in each of the breakout rooms that will be facilitating those.
Hey, Suzanne, sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
Just before we jump in there, I did have a question. We went really fast. For Waukesha and the other one who did the social isolation risk tools, when you identified those that were at risk for social isolation, what resources or how successful was it to connect people then to social resources?
I think Kaisa might have jumped
Oh, okay.
already, but that was something that they worked out early on. In terms of you can't just find an isolated person. You've got to,
what do you do with it?
Right, be a bridge. And so then they contracted with this Vital Voices organization, and those were the folks that did the follow-up. And I don't remember the exact statistic, but it was something around like 30% of those referrals actually were connected.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
You're
I just
welcome.
wanted to add real quick from the Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connection. We did a pilot program on identifying older adults that are were socially isolated and lonely, and that was our main concern. We didn't want to screen and leave them. So there is a customizable document out on our coalition's website that has national and state resources, and then you can customize it for local resources and add things like your men's shed and different items on that. And that could be handed out or given to people just as a way to just not screen and leave. And also to leave it with somebody who maybe screens that they're not lonely, but there's still opportunities and things that they can do in your community. So I just wanted to throw that out there for people.
Thank you.
Another question in the chat, what screening tools or what screening tools are orgs using other than the 3 questions? So if anyone is using any other screening tools, we do have other resources for screening on our website as well that you can find too.
I'm unaware of anybody in the ARPA grants who used anything but the 3-question UCLA tool.
If there is anyone using a different tool, feel free to reach out to me and I can follow up with you, Judith, as well. But we do, like I said, have some additional resources on our website for screening. Okay, with that, I'm going to open up these breakout rooms so you'll see the breakdown. So pick whatever county, if you're a statewide organization, you know, maybe pick what region you are the least connected with. Again, we'll have a facilitator in each of these breakout rooms. And like I said, we'll leave it open 15, 20 minutes or so, and then we'll report back in a little bit. So I'm going to open up those rooms right now, and you should be able to join a room based on whatever region you're in. Okay, I think everyone is back now. Hopefully conversations didn't get cut off, but maybe if the breakout room leads want to just go around and do a quick recap or share anything that was shared, that would be great.
Hey,
Whoever
could
wants
I
to
go
start.
first, Suzanne? Because I got to jump off.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So Southeastern, we had a nice big group, talked about lots of different things going on. Alzheimer's Association has a new app where you can put in your zip code and get connected to things really close to you. They have a community resource finder on their website. You can put info in there. And Kathy does Memories in the Making and can do really cool art with people. So that's really good to know. And then in Oconomowoc, the area at the Y, Mel is looking for some opportunities to do ongoing meal sharing. Era's talked about their community calendar where you can put events that are happening, all kinds of really cool stuff. The group agreed, definitely would love to do some sort of regional get together and continue to share information.
Awesome. Thanks, Carmen. Who wants to go next?
I can jump in. So for the South, we had 3 of us, and Amy was sharing about in Dane or in Madison specifically about Newbridge and the coalition there, and we spoke a little bit about transportation and the need for transportation to be connected, obviously, with the ability to have social connection. And we agreed too that, you know, a regional meeting would be very awesome. So
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
I'll jump in. We can go all the way to the north.
Perfect.
Jody up in Hayward in Sawyer County talked about a fundraiser that they have coming up to raise money for their Meals on Wheels program. They do a barbecue chicken cookout, and last time they did this, they sold out of the chicken in 45 minutes. So it's been a tremendous way to gather some support from the community for a much needed program. She talked about some chair-based exercise classes that they've been doing in person. So despite their ruralness, they've been able to get people together, and how she specifically leaves some time in the beginning of the program to allow people to just get connected to one another, talk about what's going on in their lives before they jump right in. And then specifically, she mentioned their Healthy Living with Diabetes facilitator training coming up on September 24th and 25th and October 2nd and 3rd. And we talked about how wonderful it would be for those who wish to be trained to come up and see their beautiful fall colors at that time. So they got to lure people in and get some more people up there. Sammy talked about a parish truck and tractor pull where they can go and provide information about what they're doing and some support that they get and receive from the Early Good Flower Field, where they offer a discount on the flowers. People come together to learn about their Better Together program. They are able to reach new people, but also reach that current audience, and then use the discount that they've given to pay the person who's in charge of the flower field so that they're not always just giving back and not getting anything, which led us to a conversation about some flowers being shared up in Sawyer County that are then can be distributed wherever they like. You see somebody who's, could maybe use those today and to share those and what joy and happiness those bring. Bailey talked about the healthy living goals that they have around social isolation and connectedness, and some of the partnerships that they have with Mid-State Independent Living Choices and the clubhouses that they are providing to offer peer support for individuals in the county with disabilities. And Allison shared around her PhD project around social capital and reciprocity, and how important giving people opportunities to reciprocate to build social capital within a community. This is a group that most of them were already connected, so have reached out to one another to make those connections. Poor Jody way up in Sawyer County, if has some interest, but would have to probably join this group remotely.
Mm-hmm. Well, lots going on up there in northern Wisconsin. Awesome. Thanks, Janet.
So I'll hop in with northeastern Wisconsin and cop to the fact that I'm a horrible facilitator because I forgot to take notes. I was so in the conversation. So Renee from Kewanee County, UW Extension, and Michelle from ADRC of Brown County and I were the collective. And so please jump in and feel free to help me. We had sort of more of a topical discussion than a conversation about specific strategies. One is just, how inclusive are we being of the disability community, as we kind of tend to focus on the aging community and that sort of container. And lots of needs yet for the disability community, and how are we bridging that inclusivity? Secondly, people are really waking up to the needs of older adults, even though we have been preparing them for 50 years for this demographic shift. They seem to just notice it while we're halfway through. And there's all kinds of different initiatives showing up. So we had some discussion about how do you coordinate and make sure you're not duplicating, while at the same time, we want to invite everyone to the party and make sure we're really building those good bridges. We had to talk about transportation, that. So that does not go away. It continues to be part of the formula for social connection. And then we landed with a conversation. I don't know if I'm sure many of you are aware that the ADRC of Brown County has a food truck as part of their nutrition program. And I asked the question, how is the food truck creating social connection? And Michelle could talk a long time about that, but I really feel like that might be somebody we want to bring to one of our sessions to hear about that, because it's, the win-win of here's your good nutrition and we're creating community is pretty spectacular.
Yeah, I'm sure I had said our manager of that area would be happy to present, but it's been really interesting, the expansion of our food truck and because we're out there in like company events, neighborhood events, other organization events, and it really is a bridge to bringing people together. Because we all know food and people, it's just connected, right? And so there's some intention behind that and engaging and really interesting things to see in, you know, neighborhoods that have specific needs, as well as just really fascinating connection in companies, bringing people together and having intention to provide like caregiving resources, you know, to employees who are still in the workforce. And what does that look like? So it's just been a really nice bridge to get conversations going and help people connect. Different reasons sometimes for different reasons, but still the outcome is the same, getting people to connect and work together and to expand and meet new people and that kind of thing. So
I love it. I hate to cut you off, Helen and Michelle, but I want to just jump to Dan real quick. Any other things to add in this last minute?
Just really quick. Yeah, we had another great conversation around all these wonderful initiatives and opportunities. But Kristen shared about Western Dairyland and how they're developing a daily resource center specifically for the homeless population, providing a space for resource and resource providers to come in and talk with folks. You know, they're looking at ways of developing relationships with businesses and reducing the reliance on federal funding. You know, Amy from Pierce County ADRC talked about, you know, all the wonderful programming that they're sharing out and connecting people with. Kelly from Inclusa, you know, talked about all the different ways at which they're connecting with people and wanting to connect people with resources, trying to make things as accessible as possible. About, you know, there's some wonderful lacrosse community building projects happening. But as far as supporting one another, you know, we had some really big, wonderful ideas around, you know, how can we continue to utilize social media to support one another and share out these initiatives. You know, would there be an opportunity to do some sort of statewide website where information could be shared? And then also the utilization of 211, you know, would there be an opportunity to share some of these wonderful projects through a partnership with 211?
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think these conversations will keep on going. So thanks all for sticking with it to the very end. We are at time, so I'll cut us off now, but we'll send out the recording for this meeting within the next couple of days, and our next network meeting will be on October 21st. So right before Social Connection Awareness Week. Have a great rest of your week, everyone.